Okay, all right. Do you want us to give a welcome?
Sure. I don't know which way to look, but thank you all for coming here today and being a part of this particular community engagement opportunity. Understanding our history and culture is very important. I've got 54 years here and a lot of stories, so I hope you capture some of those stories, like, buying donuts from Miss Price over on the south side, or the West End Park, the blues and the baseball, the deep culture that we have there. Bouncing Benny, Rudy Bunny on Main Street selling watermelons. So there's a lot of stories, a lot of history, and let's identify those cultural assets and share those stories with the people that follow us. So thank you all for your participation today. I do have a meeting in like 10 minutes, so I wish you luck in this. I'll be listening. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you. Thank you all for coming. We really do appreciate your work with us and continuing to come to these comprehensive plan meetings. I'm Jill Stribbe from the City of Smithville. I'm going to turn this over to Pamela Knoll, who is on our stakeholder committee of our comprehensive plan program. And so she is going to be, I guess, moderating the program today. We also have Michael Darrow from Texas Commission on the Arts and Monica Poss from our local Smithville Historic Preservation Design Standards Advisory Committee. We're waiting on Erica Espinola from the Texas Historic Commission. She had a nail in her tire, and so she's kind of run a little bit late. Apologies from her, but she'll be here as soon as she can. So Pamela, thank you very much again. I appreciate you. Yeah. Oh, actually,
Oh. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up today. Thank you, Jill. And Robert, our city manager, and Alta for being present, as well as Michael and Erica. I thank you all for being here today, for us to gather to try and see what direction we really want to go in, if we can get some ideas. And if we could get your thoughts on how we can celebrate, because this is what it's really about, right? Celebrating Smithville. And so today, I want to start out with introductions. And I know we can't see her, but I'll go one by one. And if you all please, just bear with me. Alta or Yvette, I know her by Yvette because she is a longtime Smithvillian. But she moved away, and a lot of people know her by Alta. So, Yvette, if you would please introduce yourself and give us a little background, please.
Hi, I'm Alta Yvette, and Pam is absolutely right. In Smithville, I am definitely Yvette, and happy to be. I am working now on, I'll just take it from there, on the Smithville Southside History Project. Very excited about this project. It's the first of its kind. There have been other Unity events, as I understand, but none like this one. And so I'm very excited, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it when my turn rolls around. But I have been spearheading this initiative and working with the fabulous Southside community, the wonderful city of Smithville, and it's been a great ride. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that when you circle back to me in a little bit.
Thank you. Now we would like to hear from Michael Dell. Michael, if you could just give us a brief history of your background.
Hello, can you guys hear me? My name is Michael Darrow, and I'm with Texas Commission on the Arts, and I've been with the agency for a year now. My background is in art and art education. I've worked as a teacher, I've worked as a director of education, and right now I work with grant funding for arts across the state of Texas. So a lot of nonprofit organizations and individual artists that are affiliated with our organization and our cultural districts, and Smithville is one of the cultural districts. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have about the arts and how you can incorporate them more into your community and how you guys currently are using them within your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now we would like to hear from Monica, if you could just give us a little brief history of your background.
Hi, I'm Monica. I currently serve as the chair of the Historic Preservation Design Standards Advisory Committee at the city here. I have a background in corporate finance, development of multifamily low-income housing, marijuana, real estate. I worked for a legal marijuana company. Yeah, you asked. And I have personally done construction, been a general contractor, and I personally have done some residential historic preservation and restoration projects here in town.
Thank you. Again, I am Pamela Noel, and I have a degree in arts, but I also have a degree in business administration. I am, as Yvette, I am a Smithvillian. I went to school over at the Mary Brown. And I remember as a little kid, we had to pack our desk out and we were moved to Central School at that time. And the same people that went to school with me at that particular site, we all graduated together and we still remember and we still know. So we know Smithville in so many different ways. But I moved and I worked for the state of Texas for 30 years as an investigator and auditor, worked as an auditor for the federal department in quality control. I have a background in research and development and a history of working on different projects. So I love being active with Jill. I don't think I would be doing this if it weren't for Jill and our city manager. But I'm here, to just support us and to possibly help lead us in the right area of what we need today, because this is not just one day, it is a process. And we want to be able to look at our process and determine what those constraints are, as well as what those positives are that we can get out of this today. So with that being said, again, this comprehensive plan, community forum, historic preservation, cultural assets, I know that when we look at that title, we possibly only think about the South Side, but this is about the entire Smithville area. Because, we have Hispanics here, we have African-American people here, we have Irish people here, we have Jewish people here, we have German people here, and we have people who lived here and their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids are still living here. So it is a lot of culture. It is a lot of preservation that we need to talk about and be inclusive in the process and what we're going to do. And, just different ideas about how this is going to work. I know that Alta did talk about the South Side Project, which most people always say, and, across the tracks. But it's not just, the South Side runs what I have known to be Bunty Town. From Bunty Town, and it's called Bunty Town because the Buntys owned all of that property over there. So from Bunty, some people call it Bunny, but it's originally spelled B-U-N-T-E, Bunty Town, to what we've always known it as downtown. Not Main Street, but downtown. and it was kind of split in between the railroad tracks. But that's what we're calling the South Side today. And I'm sure Yvette can give us a little bit more history than I can on that. Yvette, would you be willing to just kind of give us a brief synopsis of what you and Jose are doing on that particular project at this time?
Well, thank you all again so much this afternoon for allowing me to steal away a little bit of your time to tell some about and update others on the Smithville Southside History Project and, of course, the culminating Unity event. So the Smithville Southside Project is an initiative aimed at preserving and celebrating the rich cultural heritage of the Southside neighborhood in Smithville, Texas. The project continues to advance with remarkable community involvement and dedication of the community. Not just, I'm proud to say, not just the South Side community, but all of Smithville. And so I'm very excited about that. Since our initial meeting where residents, business owners, key leaders, where they gathered to share stories and insight, there's been a significant push to ensure that the voices of the Southside community are heard and respected. And I have to, my hat's off to the city of Smithville in particular. I would like to say Mayor Forrester, City Manager Tamble, and of course, everybody loves Jill. So Jill and Jill have been completely of value in this project. And I can't say enough about all of the other entities, the Preservation and Design Standards Advisory Committee. Monica, you tell me if I got that right. Did I get that right? Okay, good. Thank you. And of course, the Smithville Independent School District, and hopefully soon to be, and I anticipate positive, the City Council. All have been extremely involved and participatory. The input from the meetings have been invaluable in shaping the project and identifying landmarks for key historic markers that celebrate our rich heritage on the South Side. This is the first of its kind to be done on the South Side. I believe, and Jill, you correct me if I'm wrong, we have 4 markers on the north side of town, but we have none on the South Side. So this is going to be the first of its kind. From January 15th to the present, participants have been actively involved with discussions, collaboratively seeking historic markers that reflect the essence of the Southside Smithville neighborhood. 2 of the significant landmarks, Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church and Mary A. Brown School, were chosen for their cultural and historical historical importance, alongside the inaugural, and I believe, again, Monica, correct me if I'm wrong, the inaugural honorary historic recognition for Colorado Baptist Church. Is that correct? And so there's tons to be proud about and excited about within this initiative. The selections were made collectively by those who attended the meetings, ensuring that the community's voice is central to this initiative, and that's what we really wanted. Let's see. I believe that is it, unless anybody else had, well, you know what? I want to make sure that I personally invite everyone to attend the City Council session, which is going to be on this coming Monday, April 14th at 6 p.m., where we will anticipate with bated breath the endorsement of these 2 historic markers and, of course, the honorary recognition. So this meeting is a crucial step in acknowledging the contributions of our communities past. In addition to that, I would love to ask you to please mark your calendars for, again, the first ever Unity event, which is going to be on Saturday, April 19th. And this is a special occasion that will feature the tributes and unveiling of the historic landmarks identified by the community members. So it promises to be a heartfelt celebration of our shared history and the resilience of the Southside community. So I'm hoping that you all will join in honoring the heritage and fostering unity as we move forward. And if you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions of Yvette? Alrighty. Thank you, Yvette, for that.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I would like for us to meet one of our panelists. She has just arrived. Her name is Erica. And Erica, if you could just give us a little background so everyone will know who you are and what you can offer today.
Hi, everyone. I had a nail stuck in my tire as I was leaving San Antonio. My name is Erica Espindola. I work for the Texas Historical Commission. I have 3 years of service so far. I started out working at Casa Navarro State Historic Site down in San Antonio during graduate school. Then after that, I worked at the Conservation Society of San Antonio, helping out with membership and events. I graduated in 2022 and I got a job in Austin with the Certified Local Government Program. So I've been there for almost 2 years. Let's see, I kind of like the go-to person in the office when it comes to intangible heritage. That's pretty much because I claimed that title. I worked on a cultural project in graduate school where I mapped ceramic heritage in San Antonio, working with local business owners to create a touristic application. And we worked with the university in Bogota, Colombia. They were kind of doing the same thing since San Antonio and Bogota have the same type of heritage and culture. So I made it my thing. And so when I got the email that you guys were meeting today about Smithville's culture, I was all in. So that's my story. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. We appreciate you driving so far and still having the tenacity to say, I gotta get there. I'm gonna get there, right? Thank you so much for that. I know, I'm not sure if everyone has this or not.
Hey, you skipped me.
I'm not really sure, but I guess we'll have Monica to speak right now.
My name wasn't next to frame the conversation, so that was unclear. It's all cool. So actually, Pamela did a great job of helping to frame the conversation when she first sat down here. And I'm just going to expand on that a little more. So cultural assets and historic preservation, I think, are really two different things. Historic preservation is a subset of our cultural assets. Our cultural assets can be so many things. For example, in 2013, the Robert D. Latham Cultural District was established here in Smithville through the efforts of the City of Smithville and the Lost Pines Artisans Alliance, and with generous funding from the Texas Commission on the Arts, who has since granted the community quite a bit of funding over the last decade or so to create some incredible arts projects in town. We have so many amazing public arts projects here that I think we could be a destination for that. So obviously arts are part of our cultural assets. Our stories are part of our cultural assets. Architecture is a historic aspect. Our history textures our culture so much. So I'm going to speak a little bit about what Smithville does have in place and does not have in place with regard to our architectural historical assets. So we do have a historic commercial district established in just a few blocks downtown. The Historic Preservation's Design Standard Committee and City Council oversees what can and cannot be done to those buildings, particularly on the exterior, because we do want to maintain the current look and feel of our downtown, preserving the character and a unique feel of a neighborhood can foster a sense of place, community pride, and a shared identity among residents. Because historic neighborhoods are a part or a repository of a community's history and culture. Residentially, although we don't have anything in place that causes owners of those downtown buildings in our historic district to take care of those buildings so they don't crumble. And I know many of you have probably noticed the awful shape some of these buildings are in. And residentially, on this side of town, we have quite a large residential historic neighborhood. That doesn't mean much here. It means you cannot build a barndominium, you can't build industrial or manufactured housing, but that's about it. You can tear down a 120-year-old house, a piece of our history, and replace it with a hyper-contemporary structure. This is also our only residential historic district. The South Side has no residential historic district, and surely there is history worth preserving and recognizing on the South Side. So we as a community, as part of this comprehensive plan process, get to decide how important it is to protect, to recognize particular historic assets and to protect our culture. So should we preserve not only our commercial historic area, but also our residential area? Do we want to establish and enforce clear guidelines for residential renovations and new construction that respect the historic character of our historic neighborhoods? At what point do these controls overstep personal property owners' rights? Should we designate an area of the South Side as another historic area, or is only the historically white part of town important to us? Should we consider places outside city limits like West End Park, one of the last stops on the Chitlin Circuit, or like Colorado Church with Yvette mentioned earlier, which looks like it's on the verge of collapse? What can we do to preserve our community's history outside of city limits, and do we want to? So this is all for us to decide. Today, you need to think about what cultural assets do you want to recognize, to protect, to preserve, and how deep do you want those protections to go? Because if it is important enough to us as a community, we will find a way to make it happen.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Because those are some questions that you possibly have to ask yourself. You may not be able to answer them today or tomorrow or next month. You may have to go home and discuss it, with your spouse, your friends, your, church groups. But anything that you have to, you're looking for an answer for, it's very important. And again, we want to be inclusive in everything here in Smithville, because it's all important to all of our friends and our neighbors and our children and our forefathers and foremothers. I know earlier, I'm sorry, I was going to ask you guys if you all had one of these on your table or not. But if not, Jill is going to make a copy for everybody, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to rank it, right? And this is going to be a part of a process as well, what you think is important to you. And and how we can kind of take this data and build from what you're saying now, right? So right now, I'd like to open up the floor for any questions that you guys may have for Erica or Michael or even Yvette, and possibly Monica as well, or if you guys just have a statement that you want to make. The floor is open. So
you. I've stepped out to talk to Robert, but when I came back in, you were talking about cultural assets and to begin to identify which ones, what criteria would you give for making those selections? Or what, if it's not, obviously it could be, it's more than one criteria, I'm sure, but can you share with some of those with us, please?
yes, ma'am. I'm going to allow Monica as well as Yvette, and Michael and Erica to be able to be a little more specific to her question. We know what we believe is here in Smithville, right? But I think they have the expertise to be able to help us funnel down or drill down, if you will, what is really considered that historic thought. So, Michael, I'm sorry, Michael, we'll start.
Hello, I would say cultural assets, it can vary, and it's not always something tangible in the sense that I think some of your cultural assets are the buildings that you have in your community. They're historic, they have history, they have character and personalities that are part of your community. But things like festivals, murals that you have, and events that you have within your area, those are cultural assets that make up Smithville. It's the people and the things that you do, the interactions that you have, and the things that you create. And as she mentioned before, the stories, some of those stories are developed through those programs that you have, through those yearly festivals and yearly events that take place in this area that are unique to this specific town, that are your cultural assets.
I think that's a really good question. What comes to my mind, and I'm coming from a program that is in partnership with federal best practices and guidelines, but I always think of the National Register of Historic Places. Just before I came here, I looked the city of Smithville up on texastimetravel.com, and that's affiliate site of the Texas Historical Commission. It's like a heritage trip planner, day trip planner type of thing. And it said that the city of Smithville has over 200 National Register properties, designations. So when you register on the National Register, there's criteria, like you said, and it has to have integrity and significance. So if you are wanting to designate a building, it would have to fall within a certain number of criteria. So architecture, a high level of architecture. And here's where your question kind of comes in. It could have an association. You can't grab an association, but a person could have a tie-in with your building. Someone important could have lived there, for example. And another one is feeling. So you can't capture feeling, but this is what I think about when you're speaking of culture. So like he said, music, can't grasp it, gastronomy, food. You're hearing about these communities that are part of like a barbecue tour now, and it does tie in with programming and community groups. It's what you want to do, the events you put on, even if it's a first annual type of thing.
Thank you, Erica. Monica, would you like to chime in on that?
Yes, Michael, I'm really glad you said festivals because, I did speak a lot about structures, homes, businesses, buildings, but our oral stories, our festivals, those are all part of our culture, our history. I think somebody is doing an oral history project now, aren't they? So, which is very exciting for us to preserve that part of our history. So I would, Kathy, I would ask, what do you think is the culture of Smithville? What combination of things create the texture of our community? And when you identify those, what can you do to celebrate them, to preserve them, and culture does change over time, whether one wants to or not, right? But we ought to hold on to our past and not lose the things that have made us what we are today. So that's for y'all to decide.
Thank you, Monica. Yvette, would you like to chime in on that question?
I kept hearing my name. I told Jill that I was going to bump out and just
Oh.
go on listening mode, but that's okay. I'll chime back in. Just kind of keeping with Southside in mind right now. That's pretty prevalent to me. But those communities, when we're talking about cultural assets, those communities that the community themselves understand are vital to that their particular heritage and have been associated with the culture of that particular community. That's what the cultural assets means to me. But I do agree with, and I'm so sorry, the lady that had the nail in her tire. I'll forever remember you.
Erica.
Is that, yes. So I do agree that it is something that we do need to look at when we're talking about cultural assets, that we have guidelines and criteria that we look at, because we want to be fair, and that's one way of doing it. Everybody on the same playing field. So I definitely agree with that too. That's it.
Thank you. What does anybody out here have an idea about the assets, just right off the top of your head? What you would like to see highlighted here in Smithville? Just right off the top of your head.
Thank you, honey. Hi, my name is Sarah Hickman, and I would personally like to know more of the Black history in Smithville, because I went to the Chamber of Commerce and they didn't have any, and I came to City Hall and they told me to go to Chamber of Commerce. And I find it really frustrating. So I went on the internet and found more information there than I could here. So when we're talking about celebrating the history of Smithville, I would like more inclusivity, and I know that this is what this is about, which is very exciting. Is there going to be some place, like maybe the library already has? I looked in those big Smithville newspaper things, but that's all white history too. So I'm wondering, is there some place where somebody like me could go, or people interested in Smithville's history could learn about all the history?
Good question. Good question. Yes, there is. I have spoken with Jill myself personally about this. There's an individual in town. And I don't know if I'm looking at him right now. Yes, but there's a house down the street. He has talked with me about this, that we can collaborate and have a house, which he has offered for us to try and pull together and get that Black history in there. And I was just very welcomed by him when he asked me that question, and I'm more than happy to help. It's just I have not at this particular date gathered up. I have an idea about where this product is, but as our guest was saying, like, one special thing to me that is it's both tangible and intangible. My dad was the first person to play baseball with the white guys here on up on the hill is what we call it. But it's downtown. That's where the baseball field was, right? And they welcomed my dad. They welcomed his family, me and my siblings. So that I have it playing over in my head. I know that Giddings actually has a a newspaper clipping of this baseball team and how they went around the circuit and played. And that baseball team was here in Smithville over 60 years ago. 60 plus. I don't want to tell my age, but it's things like that that I know that a lot of people, you would love to see. And it's just about getting in touch with those people and getting those photographs and getting that information. Every time I go to the donut shop, those guys over there, they all wait, where is your dad? How is he doing? Because if they didn't play baseball with him, they sat in the stands and saw him play center field, right? But they also worked on the railroad. The railroad is one of those assets that we can say has really built up Smithville. My dad worked on the railroad for, gosh, 30 plus years with a lot of the people around here. That is an asset because it has brought some prosperity. It has brought families food and housing. You know, that's a special thing. The other thing that is getting ready to occur and happen is our jamboree. That is an amazing, gosh, again, I don't want to age myself, but I remember when it was held downtown in front of the huge big Christmas tree, right? And this was Highway 71 at one time instead of Loop 230. We have, guys, tons and tons and tons of preservation here, tons of historical things. We just need to ask people to dig it up because there are pictures, there are things. Now, I just named 3 things myself, and I know you guys have a lot more. So again, I don't want to hijack this meeting as it's already listed here on the ground rules. But I'm going to ask the gentleman sitting here in the gray shirt, please tell us a little bit more about what you are wanting to help and offer the city of Smithville to preserve the history here.
All right, I'm Leroy Behrens with the Smithville Heritage Society. And we have the museum down there at 602 Main. In our archives, we got a building in the back. Our archives, we do have some history, some Black history. We've got some stuff on C.C. Owens, who was a prominent physician here, Black physician. And from what I understand, there's a lot of the white folks at the time would prefer to go to him than to Dr. Stevens or Dr. Chapman, who were white doctors. They would rather go to C.C. Owens. We've got some articles that was written by T.C. Franklin, who was a professor, and he wrote on Black history, and he also wrote about Smithville history. Right now, our archives are kind of messed up, which I'm still trying to get them reorganized, but hopefully I want to get the public out and get it out that we do have information on Smithville. What you were talking about a while ago with pictures and stuff like that, it kind of irks me, is that I have gone down to Born Again and I have found pictures of Smithville citizens. I have found pictures of a mayor, and it seems like the family don't care. They just give them away. They put them out there somewhere so somebody can buy the picture frame. I've got some of the stuff I bought myself. Some have been donated, and I've got them now at the Heritage House. I'm going to try to figure out how to make a display out of that. Um, I know it's a sore story, but one thing that I've heard, and I've really not sure about, but supposedly up on the hill on this side of Fifth Avenue, somewhere around Gasly Creek or that, is a slave cemetery that nobody really knows where it's at. But supposedly there is, at the end of Fifth Avenue, is supposed to be a slave cemetery. That would be nice to know if, somebody could find it and just, the houses may be over it or so. But there is, up on the hill on Fifth Avenue. And, huh? Right, that's down there near the dump road though. That's Mount, I'm talking about one that's near Gasly Creek itself. On the lower end, on this side of the hill.
I
Yeah.
think that is something that Jill is writing down that we all can, someone can research that, because that's what we're here for, is to research and bring back information to our citizens, to let them know, let you guys know exactly what is here, because Smithville is a treasure chest. It really, really is, right? And so I agree that with our guest here sharing with us different ideas and what it is that, it gets the mind salivating, right? It gets the brain working, and this is what this is all about. So this is actually great. Does anybody else have any other stories that they would like to see highlighted in the community, or anything that you think, or you even have a question about? Our guests are here.
Well, I want to see, I don't know what Johnny Ray would let us do, but I would love to see more preserved at West End Park. What an amazing place for a blues festival, or, I mean, that place is so rich with history.
So last meeting we had at the food pantry, this was when they were doing the markers. Maybe Yvette, you guys remember this. Johnny Ray stood up. He said, I'm preserving West End Park. He made a public announcement. He said, I'm going to turn that park into a museum. And he has started to do that. And remember, he made the comment that night. This was like a month ago. So he's committed. And we all heard it. So in fact, Jimmy Jenkins was at that meeting. And I thought, good. So yeah, Johnny Ray's already started to do stuff down there, which is great.
That's great. That's awesome. So guys, now we're going to move on to breakout sessions. If you can just stay in the tables that you're in, you don't even have to move. And, talk about some ideas and suggestions for priorities that, the forum can actually look at and talk about and grasp. Basically, just brainstorming for about 5 minutes, at your table. And write them on a little sticky note, and you can just put them here on the easels that we have at the back. We have historic preservation for neighborhoods, historic preservation for downtown, assets and projects for our historic and cultural, and history and stories. So if you just want to jot something down again and put it up there, that would be great. So again, I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. So yeah, Hey, guys. Hey, hello, hello. Hey, guys, thank you so much for coming together and collaborating on some good ideas and, your good thoughts and whatever you have, let's put them on the board because these ideas and suggestions are going to be very, very important to moving forward and, just trying to prioritize what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? But right now, I'd like to take the opportunity and ask each group, each table to ask, pick one person to speak for your table. And just kind of give us an oversight, a small oversight, summarization of what your table found and what you talked about.
Okay, I'm Brian Wills, and my wife and I moved here 5 years ago, and we bought. Many of y'all talked about the hill. We bought that old house on the hill. So if you know it, if you know, you know. But one of the things that this is not really a thing or an asset, but one of the things that, and it's part of the reason we're here tonight. One of the things my wife and I found challenging is so we have a lot of family history in Texas, and particularly Central Texas. But when we came to Smithville, we actually found it hard to find stories beyond just the cursory level. We found it hard to find stories about our house or stories about other houses and other buildings around town. We've talked several times about the South Side. I don't know the history of the South Side. I can't find it. So storytelling is one of the things that I put. I mean, I don't know if that's an asset, but it's really something that's needed. Leroy's already talked about how we have a kind of a vault full of all the documentation. It's got to be cataloged and it's got to be told so people can find it. But is the purpose right now for me to run through some of these things? Is that what you want? Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. Of course, yes.
Okay,
And then you
great.
can put them on the board.
Once I do that, yeah. And maybe some of these things are already done, and I just don't know where they are. So feel free to point me to them. Landmark the original settlement along the Colorado. I mean, my understanding of the story is I generally know where it is, but I don't know that we have anything there documenting where it is. You're agreeing with me?
I'm
Okay.
agreeing with you
Yeah.
on that because my father's family, they came from that Colorado area down there.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the particular church that Monica was speaking about. And they all migrated into town. But
Okay.
that is where they actually originally settled. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a few Indians in that whole settlement as well.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Another one is documenting. We've already mentioned how originally the I don't know if it was it 71 at that time came in at the extension of Main Street. We had the bridge and everything. I was here for 2 years before I knew that. So it's another really cool story to tell. The pre-Texas history of Smithville would be really nice to highlight as well. You referenced a little bit of it just then. We've already talked about South Side. And of course, I'm living on the hill. I'm real partial to the hill. It's got a pretty cool history. There's some other historic structures up there, but often I feel like it's left out of the conversation. So
I agree. Thank you so much for that. There is someone in town. You have that huge house. So when you're going up on the
Yes.
hill, that big creepy house that was
That's
there.
it. Yep.
Yeah, it's some people in town that I know the history of that.
Almost everyone in town has some piece of history of that house or has been in that house. And it's fun. I mean, I guess, I'm complaining that we don't have enough storytellers. My wife and I are going to become the storytellers of our house. We just wish we could, someone had a little bit more history on it beyond their living history, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
So-
does. And thank you so much for that, because that is something that we can also research and we can also bring to the forefront, because that big house was a very big sentimental part for everyone who drove by there to get to the hill, to either the dumping ground or either to the baseball game.
Right.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for that. You guys are up?
You've got a clawfoot tub on the third floor and it's still there.
Just this week, found out who.
Tom McClure,
Yeah.
very good. I mean, it's fun, right? I know what Monica said earlier. So I live in the historic district myself. Got here about 35 years ago. So when I drove through Smithville, I said, one day I'm going to own a home in Smithville. And now I have an Airbnb in my home, and I just love the historic district. And what she said was, look, there's really no real rules of what you can do and so forth. So that's got to happen to restore these older 130 now year old homes. So, we've got the old schoolhouse there, but we've got to do something with the ordinances for sure. We've been talking about this, Monica, for how long? So then on the south side, I think we had this conversation maybe when we walked the MLK walk a couple years ago, Yvette, about preserving the Washington Street. Right now they've taken down a couple of those older homes, and that was your dividing line between the east side and the west side, where the folks that worked for the railroad were on the west side and the folks that were down in the cotton plantations were on the east side. So that is like, and then that used to cross into Main Street, right? So those homes, we need to do something there, because I noticed they've already taken like a couple down, and we've got to figure out a way to keep it, because in Bastrop, they just tore down a gorgeous, beautiful old home on Pecan Street, and it was a fight. So I think that we really need to get that done pretty quickly, or we're going to start losing these bigger, older homes. So, preserving that. And then the last thing I put up there was, we've got a great history at our airport, 40-plus year history of aviation in Smithville. And that is our centerpiece as you're coming into Smithville right now. So we've got to figure out, it's outside, of course, but it's us. The aviation piece is us. And I know the new gal that works for the Smithville News, she just did a piece on that and did a beautiful YouTube video of the history of the airport. And so I think that's really important to tell that story also.
Thank you. Yes, you want to go next?
Oh, yeah. No, wait, we have one more.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. We were talking and discussing about how there is no art on the south side either to preserve that culture or history to be able to go and reflect that.
Thank you.
There's a little tiny
Did you-
bit at
Did you
MLK
post it over? Did you put your, okay, thank you, guys.
I was talking to Willie Culberson.
Can you tell us who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll tell you again. Sarah Hickman. Hello. I was talking to Willie Culberson and Calvin Gilmore, and both of them talked about how there used to be a way to get from the south side to the north side. There was a path. And then when I guess, whatever the fencing was put up, they couldn't cross the railroad tracks anymore to come over here. And that was really devastating to people on the south side, because it made it feel like, okay, you're not welcome to come over here anymore. And so I was thinking, why can't there be some kind of like walking bridge or some kind of path that ties the two together so people can still walk instead of having to drive all the way around on your bike or in your car? I don't know. Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the last 15, but that was a true, Buntytown did not have that, even though there was a railroad crossing there. Then you have your middle crossing. However, downtown, that's what Southside called it. Downtown at one time had a little bridge that you could walk over when the train was there. but it was taken down when they started cleaning up that area because, of course, there was a different manufacturer there. The railroad depot was not even where the railroad depot is. Okay, the railroad depot was a little farther into, I'd say, Main Street, but it all just got torn down when this manufacturing company, whatever it was, was removed. But yes, the city and a whole lot of other citizens here have been talking about that. That is, yeah, we can still put that up there. That is a beautiful thought and a beautiful thing. Still put it up there because it is an idea. It is a thought. It is something that, yeah, because when you dream, you want to dream big, right? I mean, that's because if you don't dream big, you'll never get to where you need to be. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, we'll go with this table here. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, sir. Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Lance Schreiner. I'm Sarah's husband. And my thought was that right off the bat, I'm very, very new to this. We're very new to town as well. But my first thought was that there needs to be how did I phrase it? A public awareness program, as well as a call for historical materials to feed everything that everybody seems to have been saying so far. There is materials out there. Sometimes they end up in Born Again and get lost to history. So if we can, just make sure that folks in town know that, hey, we're on this track. We want to do this for the city. So if you have anything, any materials, photographs, recordings, you name it, anything, we want to see it.
Well, first of all, with what he just said on collecting stuff, the philosophy I've got for the Heritage Society is that we will take just about anything old relating to the Smithville or Smithville area. We've got stuff from Cistern and Winchester. We've even got some stuff from West Point. We'll take just about anything except your spouse. That's your problem. Other than that, we're there. As far as what we were discussing, we just got onto one thing, and that was stories. We need some stories. And the story we were talking about was Babe's Hamburgers. And I don't know if anybody here went to the Red Brick Building in high school.
Wasn't in high school, but I went to the Red Brick Building in middle school.
Right.
And Babe's Burgers, yes.
Smithville, the building did not have a cafeteria at the time. So it's actually started, now the Red Brick Building was built in 1924. And this actually started somewhere in the early 30s where a lady started making lunches for the kids that they could come and buy the lunches. And in, I think in the 50s, this Inez Babe Harris took it over and she started selling a hamburger, chips, and a drink for around $1. Well, at one point they were like 10 cents for the hamburgers, but Jerry Hoskins, when he went to school, he said he gave her $5 a week for 5 meals. And people say that I've talked to said that they do not know how she did it because she cooked so many hamburgers every day and got every order right. A lot better. She did a lot better job than McDonald's did.
Thank you so much for that. But there was also another burger place in town that everybody forgets about, and that's Ozzy's. He actually owned several different properties here, and he had the best burgers. His His burger place was right by the laundromat. That's still sitting here to this day. And now they have karaoke, and other things at that building. But that's where Ozzy's and a lot of the baseball teams he supported, even in the little league, the little bitty kids, the bigger kids. And he sponsored us, all of us, regardless if you lived on the south side or the north side. And on the t-shirts were Ozzy's. He was a great person. He really was. And I know someone has to have those pictures. I know they do. But at any rate, thank you so much. We have one more table left.
Well, Judy and I have been, I'm sorry, I'm Caroline Noya. I'm chairman of the board of the Smithville Chamber of Commerce, but I'm also a resident here. I've been on several of these committees. We've written down several things here, and we talked about buildings, architecture, historical haunted sites. What else do we put on there? Jamboree, agriculture, FFA, film industry, locations, MD Anderson Research Park, Medical Center. There's been a whole lot of stuff done in Smithville that we should be bigger on the map than we are. Hope Float's house is one of the things that everybody comes in the chamber. That's, where's that? Where's the Hope Float's house? And then Tiffany, you said they come, that's one of the questions they ask Tiffany at the Katie House. But then we've got music history, visual arts, mosaics, murals. What else do we have on there? We have performing arts, a whole bunch of other stuff. We got a bunch of stickies up there.
Thank you guys so much for your participation. Again, it gets the brain moving. So right now, and I know that you guys have already put your sticky notes up there. We really appreciate that information. It will be utilized. Believe me, it will be. Right now, what I'd like to do is for the panel of experts, if they could actually you've heard what the audience has said. And if you guys could just go one by one, and we will start with Michael on telling everyone what they've said, how can we, preserve that information, and any best practices that you can use or tips or tricks, because a lot of people have things at home that they can, preserve.
Well, my background is in photography. I'm a photographer by trade. And so when I hear about the different photographs that you guys come across, I think about my own background and documentation and telling stories through artwork. So I'm definitely down for preserving that history. And I have heard a lot about stories, and I'm married to an oral historian. So we're a pair in the sense that I visually document things, and she collects the stories of individuals and makes sure that it's preserved. One thing I will say in terms of preserving history, it's like solving a puzzle. You have to find the different breadcrumbs and kind of pick up those trails and see how the connections are made. You might hear an interview from someone who was at a place, and from there you hear a name or a location, and that sends you to a place to kind of find written documentation or physical documentation. When my grandmother passed away, she left a legal pad, and she had wrote down her whole story that she can think of in, I think it was like 15 pages, 16 pages, where she just documented where her mother was born, where she was born, where her children were born, and different cousins and different places she lived, and different highlights in her life. So keeping track of history is a challenge, but you have to do it before those individuals are gone, because you lose those different stories and different aspects of your culture. And kind of taking it back, because I heard art a couple of times, and I am coming from Texas Commission on the Arts. We have a lot of resources within our agency in terms of making sure arts and culture becomes a part of your history, making sure that you can start programming and continue programming that has existed for a long time, and allow it to become something that is documented, something that is recorded, something that is remembered. You know, we were talking about different burger places and baseball games and things of that nature, and how you remember that from your childhood. And we have children in this community today that might remember a storyteller that comes to town or a mural that was painted. So keep those things in mind, and how those stories, the things that you're doing present day, will feed into the history of this community. And I encourage you, when you get a chance, please go to Texas Commission on the Arts. We do have grant funding available to bring in different artists from all over Texas through our touring roster. And that is a great opportunity to, again, do some different things within your community. Smithville is also one of 54 cultural districts in the state of Texas. So we designate cultural districts. You all as a community have applied and went through the rigorous process of getting accepted. And because of that, that opens you guys up to grant funding that can help invigorate your community in different ways through the arts. So when it comes to historic preservation, while it is not our mission in terms of historic preservation, it's a byproduct of what the funding can do through our organization. So whether that's kind of working with an old theater or working with a performing arts center, or again, painting murals on the sides of buildings, our organization through grant funding can help facilitate some of those things. You guys are already a cultural district. Our role is helping you strengthen your community and enrich your community with the arts.
Thank you, Michael, for that. Now we'll hear from Erica.
I just want to give a blanket statement. There are several intrinsic values to intangible heritage, those being recreational, spiritual, and touristic. So, like I mentioned, Texas Time Travel is an affiliate site of the Texas Historical Commission. I want to piggyback off of what Michael said is at the Texas Historical Commission, we have a lot of support and all kinds of different programs that can help you with what you're wanting to preserve and highlight in the town. So somebody mentioned cemeteries. We have a cemetery program. We have a heritage tourism program. We have a certified local government program, although Smithville is not a certified local government. I know you're wanting to fix up the ordinance. We can assist with that. And please also, before I forget, bug me for a business card. And if you're wanting to get in touch with those people in cemeteries and other programs, I can give you the contact. Let's see. I wanted to also mention that the Heritage Society is here. Yeah. So if Smithville one day wanted to become a certified local government, we would have grant funding available to the city that can partner with nonprofits and things like that to fund history programs, educational programs. We get a lot of house tours that we fund, oral history projects that we fund, and also, most importantly, like you mentioned, documentation and inventory. So things like historic resources survey plans, heritage resource surveys, things like that. The city of Galveston just was granted a African American heritage survey, which is great. So I'm thinking big picture, that could be something that you might be thinking about as far as documentation goes. But since you're not a CLG, did we print out the list of resources? So I did pull together a list of resources. Now, keep in mind that it is subject to state and federal availability of so I wanted to leave you guys with that, because I understand that at the Heritage Society and other preservation groups, they are primarily volunteer. So that can be of assistance to you guys.
Thank you so much for that, Erica. Now we'll hear from Monica.
You know what didn't come up, and I just realized it, is filming. We are known as a movie and TV town. Oh, good. I'm glad somebody stuck it up there because that is part of our culture and is part of our history, even if it's the newer history rather than the 200 or 150-year-old ago history. So with regard to historic preservation, and I'm speaking specifically to architecture, I'm going to echo what Janice said, is we could put ordinances ordinances in place that provide architectural controls that maintain, that would force the community to maintain the character of its historic residential areas so that someone couldn't necessarily tear down a house and build something that didn't really fit the character of the neighborhood. Now that does, there will probably be an argument that that oversteps property owner rights. So this has got to be something that the community, that a large part of the community gets behind if we really want to see something like that happen. And we would probably want to apply for grant funding for an architectural survey, where they go around and they say, okay, well, what are the common features? What makes this look like a historic character? So when I ask people what they like about Smithville, or even visitors what they like, I hear over and over and over, oh, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so charming. Well, what makes it charming? What makes it pretty? And I would say a lot of that is our architecture and our trees. So, maybe we need to hire an arborist, or I don't know what to do with trees. I do not have a green thumb. There's a black thumb right here. But anyway, so there's plenty we could do architecturally. There just has to be the will of enough people in the community to see it happen.
Thank you so much for that, Monica. Is Yvette still on, or did she sign off? That's okay. But until, she's still on. Yvette, are you there? Oh, okay. So, Jill, I'll give you the last word here.
Thanks again to everybody for coming out today and for everybody to come in. Yeah. And before you all leave, I did pass out sticky dots for y'all. So the last thing that you can do before you leave, if you can just go and prioritize some of the ideas, go take a look at what people have said. You can use all of them. You can use 3 of them. You could put all of them on one idea, or 1 dot on 12 ideas, whatever you want to do to just figure out, so we can kind of get a sense of what kind of priorities there are. But again, you can do that on your way out. If you don't want to do it at all and you want to just go home because it's almost 5 o'clock, that's fine too. But we really appreciate you all coming out and being great experts here and talking to the community. And we appreciate all of you all being here. And just for, so this is one of those, it's a comprehensive plan. This isn't the end of the conversation. A comprehensive plan is always a living document. And so things from what happened today are going to go into the plan. Any ideas that come out of that. In fact, I was kind of looking at our YouTube, and we've got some things in the chat there. So some of those ideas will also go into the comprehensive plan as well, as far as figuring out some of the things that we may want to move forward on. And then because it is a living document, just to say, we might only hit the top 3 priorities during the course of our top comprehensive plan, but if we have other things to work on as we move forward through the next several years, then, that's kind of where we are with that whole process. So I really appreciate you all coming out. And I guess that's the end of the meeting for today. Thank you all very much.
Jill, I have a question about the comments or the suggestions on YouTube. Can they be put on the charts too, so that if they can get sticky notes?
Sure, let me do that right away. Thanks.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.